A spiritual journey into the Saudi desert for an all-woman performance that celebrates tribal rituals, matriarchal structures, and storytelling through dance. Akram Khan's latest production is Thikra, Night of Remembering, and he's in the studio to tell us more. Akram, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Now, this show is a collaboration with Manal Al Dowayan, the celebrated Saudi artist. She's very well known for thought-provoking installations, not so much performance. So I wondered, how did you end up working together? Were you a fan of her work?
To be honest with you, I didn't know so much about her until I went for a visit to Alula, and I saw one of her works. What intrigued me was not just her work, which is incredible, because there was one particular work where it was in the middle of the desert, and there were these circular trampolines in the middle of the desert. And it wanted to bring the childlike quality out of you. But I just love the concept of it. And I said, look, I'd love to meet this person. And when I met her, I completely fell in love with the way she works, her thought, her process. And her process is very collaborative. So it's not just collaborative. What I mean by that is that a lot of her work is made with the community. So when I went there to respond to the space, Alula, because it's very sacred, that was really one of my conditions, that I work with Manal. And so when I met her, it was just a beautiful connection.
Okay, well, let's get a feel for the piece. This is Thikra, Night of Remembering. Now, as we can see there, the show was created in, I believe, and premiered in that desert oasis town in Saudi Arabia. We don't often think of dance as in dialogue with a landscape. But how's that the case here?
I think it was, I have to say, it was a really pivotal moment. First of all, you have dance in the land of Saudi, in that desert. As a performance, not indoors secretly within the family, outdoor as a presentation. It was so special. Secondly, they're all women, and this was very, very important to me, that we work with local tribes to get their inspiration, so I could get inspiration from them actually, and how they move, to study them. And so there's, funnily enough, we're always joking about this, but there's a huge hair dance scene.
Oh, hair. From
someone who doesn't have hair, right? But I fell in love with the way that the hair can reflect so many different, it has so many different kind of metaphors, visual metaphors, and how it's used, not just for dancing, but it's a form of connection. It's a form of connecting with your ancestors. So there is this thing about having long hair. So yeah, it was just a spectacular kind of experience when I was there.
And you mentioned this is only women performing, which could be considered a bit of a political move in a country where women don't usually perform in public. What was the thinking behind that?
That's a good point actually, but funnily enough, all my protagonists are women, and I suppose because I see the world through my mother's eyes. There are two people I see the world through, or have had a huge influence on me. One of them is Peter Brook, the legendary theatre director. Being a 13-year-old kind of rubbish actor, but physical mover, I had the opportunity, I don't know how I got in, but I got into working with Peter Brook and the company at Bouffe du Nord, and the Royal Shakespeare Company. There was a collaboration, and we did the Mahabharata, right? So that really changed, I think, the way I saw the world through his lens. The other big influence was my mother, because she was a myth collector. So she used to tell me stories from different parts of the world, but always from a female protagonist. So it was never Adam's perspective, it was Eve's perspective. It was never Jesus's perspective, it was Mary Magdalene's perspective. It was never Bhishma's perspective, it was Amber's perspective. So the way I learnt myth was through a female gaze, through my mother's gaze, actually. And so, in a sense, when I went there, I felt like actually what really intrigued me were in the Nabataean tribes, these very strong women characters and the roles that they played. So I felt it was more than a political, it was just my connection with a particular tribal woman called Faraz. So thank you to her because she invited me to her house. She had done her homework, so she went on YouTube and checked who I was before she could trust me. And then, she presented a dance to me in her living room, and her granddaughter, performed as well, and that's where the hair dance came out of. So I felt it was kind of right to do it.
And your pieces often delve into mythology, ritual traditions. There's often a narrative there. One of your recent productions was inspired by a well-loved story, Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. Your version, though, puts climate change front and centre, with the young protagonist a refugee because of the climate crisis. Let's take a look. And of course, the subject matter there feels very urgent, very contemporary, one of our greatest concerns right now. Was there something that prompted that choice for you?
I would say the future storytellers prompted that. And when I say, what do I mean by that? I mean my daughter, really. She's 12 now, but they're going to inherit the world we leave behind, right? So it was really my daughter who was a big part of that inspiration and asking those questions, because even down to the set, usually we have big scenography, big production. And she said to me, Papa, you're talking about climate change, but you are making big sets that has to travel around the world. So in my meetings, she would be sitting there and she'd be taking notes. And I'm like, what are you doing here? This is a meeting. She's like, no, I just want to take notes. And then after she would respond, and that was one of the responses after a production meeting, she said, can you not find another way to work that at least reduces a little bit of carbon footprint? I mean, if you're going to talk about, if the subject's going to be about climate change, then you have to act on it as well.
You mentioned working with the late, great Peter Brook. His passing was a huge loss, obviously, for the performing arts scene, especially here in Paris. You said that it was a pivotal moment for your career. Yeah. What do you think his legacy is in theatre, performing arts?
I feel the legacy are the people who are left behind, who have been moved by him. And that's not just the actors who worked with him, but that's a whole generation of artists, right down from visual artists to film directors, to musical directors. It crosses many genres. Because I think one thing that he did that was so special was he elongated time, and it forced an audience to settle on nature time. We don't operate, you and I, myself, everyone here, we don't operate on deep time. We operate on clock time, which is industrial time, which is manufactured time, which is man-made time, which is westernized time, which is modern time. So, I'm always talking about this concept of time because I think that's something I really discovered with Peter. And I think the legacy there that he left for me particularly, in the sense that affected me mostly, was the sense that how one can seduce or invite an audience to let go of the rapid time. If the work is convincing enough, perhaps we will be seduced. If there's magic, we will be seduced. And suddenly we're in surreal time. It'll feel surreal, but actually it's nature time. Now I see my daughter and son and even my youngest daughter, so the three of them, like when they look at me and I start talking to them, I know in the mid-sentence as I'm talking to them, they've swiped me. So they're thinking about something else. They're waiting to speak. They want to see, they don't even want to hear the full sentence. They just want to get the gist of it, right? And that for me is quite interesting and dangerous at the same time because it's we've lost the art of listening.
Attention span's a very precious
And I
thing.
think for me, Peter really kind of distilled that in me and distilled that in all of us, sorry.
And 25 years ago now, you founded your company with Farooq Chowdhury. You recently retired from performing on stage. This is the final touring production for the company. Dance has been a huge part of your life. What's the next chapter for you artistically?
Well, I'm continuing making new projects and kind of large-scale projects. So we have the Royal Danish Ballet project, which is Lady Macbeth. So I've always wanted to do a Shakespeare. So I'm quite excited to work with that ballet company. They're very special. And there's many, many projects ahead. So we're creating a new structure. I'm creating a new structure with my new team, really. And I'm super excited about it because it's not just about the productions, but it's about the echoes it has outside the theatre. For years, we go to a theatre in a country like Paris, do the show, and we leave. Only the audience have that impact. And so, like, if we take a production, well, what is the legacy that we're going to work with, that we're going to create and work, and the other stories that are going to be shared at the same time as ours. So yeah, we're approaching this new entity very differently.
Sounds very exciting and ambitious, and we'll be keen to find out more very soon. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Akram. We'll leave you with more contemporary dance now, as Lyon's Dance Biennale brings a whole world of talent to France. Choreographers from Brazil, Rwanda, Belgium and Hungary have been showing work in the southern city. Many of those productions are now on tour. We'll leave you with a taste of what's on offer. Otherwise, do check in with us here next time on Arts 24 for more music, arts and culture. There's more news coming up just after this.